So today we'll be discussing about for loop. For is a keyword. I think you all know what actually a keyword is. For is a keyword which is having a already defined meaning. Where using this keyword we can have a syntax. By following that syntax, if the condition again satisfies, that block of statements which are there in the for loop will be executed. So let us see the syntax first. The syntax will be like this. First, note down the syntax, all of you. We need to use a keyword called for, and we need to have parentheses. Okay, within the parentheses, is the font visible to all of you? Whatever font I am following, is it visible, or shall I increase the font size? Yeah, I'll zoom it a little bit. That will be the good idea. Yeah. Okay. So for the syntax will be, you need to have initialization first, and then you need to put a semicolon. After that, condition. Okay. And then put a semicolon. After that, increment or decrement. Anything. Got it, all of you? So this is the syntax for initialization, condition, increment or decrement, anything. And whatever statements you want to write, those statements you need to write here. And then you need to close. So this is the syntax of your for loop, where you need to use a keyword called for, and within the parentheses you need to write three statements. First statement is about initialization. Second statement is about condition. Yeah, you can also initialize before the for loop, but as we have a provision of writing all the things in a single statement, normally developers will not do initialization first. We will be initializing directly here only. But even if you initialize early and if you put this one empty also, it is okay. There is no issue in that. But the condition should be written here only. And whatever statement you have for increment or decrement, that you can write here or you can write within the for loop. But as the syntax has given us an option of adding the increment and decrement within the parenthesis, we need to write here. Got it? So this is the syntax of for loop. Now let me show you the example for this one. So the example, let us see. I'm using for. See, yeah, have you noted this one? Or let me write down the example first. For whatever earlier example we learned for while loop, let me write down the while loop first so that it will be very clear to you all. Let me write down the for loop, while loop first. Okay. What is the example we learned for while? We have taken a variable called count equal to 0, right? And we have taken while count is less than 2. We have written printf hello world. And then we have incremented our count to 1. Right? So this is the example we have considered for count, where this is the count has been initialized to 0 first, and then we have written the condition, and whenever the condition satisfies, we'll be having a printf statement and we are incrementing the count. After doing this operation, it will go back to this condition process, and it is a repetitive process. Once the condition becomes false, it will skip this complete thing and it will come out of this one. This we learned, the same example we learned with the do while also. Now let us write the same example using the for loop. But if you observe the for loop, what is the for loop? First one is initialization. So we have done an initialization of count equal to 0 here, that we can write here count equal to 0 directly in the for loop. Okay. And after that, what is the next thing? We have condition. So whatever condition we have, we can write the condition directly here. So let us write our condition is count less than 2. Okay. After that, what is the thing? We have our increment operation. So our increment or decrement, what is our increment and decrement? That is our count plus plus, count plus plus, and we need to close our for loop. Right, all of you understood? This is how we are writing. And after that, you need to, okay, after that you need to open your for loop. And what is the statement we need to write? We want to print hello world, so you need to write printf hello. Right? So the same thing, whatever we have written here, that has been converted using for loop. Now, let me explain you how this flow of execution will be. Follow carefully how the flow of execution will be. First, initialization will be taken care. Okay? First, initialization will be taken. Now, after first initialization will be taken care. After initialization, it will check to go to the condition. Initialization will be executed only once. It will be executed only once. Note down the statements parallelly, all of you. First, whenever all executing all the statements, if it reaches the for loop, then first the initialization will be executed. It will be executed only once. Okay. Now, once this initialization is done, the control will go to the condition. Now, this condition will be evaluated. Now, whenever a condition is evaluated, we have an option of either true or false. Yeah. Someone has asked, we need to give int count equal to 0. Count equal to 0, already I have written here. Declaration should be done earlier only. The starting statement should be your declaration. I'll show you the execution of this for loop also, but meanwhile follow how the control will be, how the flow of control will be. Okay. Now, once the condition is done, it will be either giving true value or a false value. Suppose if it is giving true value, let us consider, then the control will go into our for loop and it will execute all the statements here. Follow the flow, all of you. Okay, whenever the condition is true, the control will go inside this for loop and it will execute all the statements. Now, once it reaches this end, it will not come out of this one. It will go to increment and decrement. It will perform whatever statement you write, that will be executed, and increment and decrement will be done. Right? Now, once increment and decrement has been executed, the control will go to the condition again. Okay. Now again the condition is executed. If it is again true, again it will go inside the for loop. All the statements will be executed, and once executing all the statement, again it will go to the increment or decrement. Once it is executed, again it will go to the condition. So this is a continuous process. At a certain time, let us consider you got a case of false. Then the control will come out of this one, this for loop, and whatever statement you have out of this, that will be executed. Got it, all of you? Understood how it is executing? Right? So let us see our example how it is executing. Before that, I note down all of you this syntax and all. This syntax and all, note down all of you, so that we'll learn the flow of execution in clear. Noted? Noted the syntax, all of you? Okay, now let us see the example. If you consider this is our example, okay, let us consider this is our example. Now, this is the same example what we have considered for while loop, we are considering for loop. Now, see the flow, all of you. Whatever, according to our syntax, whatever initialization we are doing, that initialization part from while loop has been simply copied here. Got it? Afterwards, whatever condition you have in the while loop, that has been simply copied here. Okay? After that, whatever increment and decrement operation you are doing in your while loop, that has been simply copied to the for loop. So the three statements, whatever we have, that has been converted to a single statement. So that it will be very clear for a developer, so like what actually is going on. Okay, now whatever statement we have in the while loop, the same statement have been copied here. Now let us see the flow of execution. Now I told you this will be executed only once. This will be executed only once. So let us take first this will be executed. This count will be executed first. Now count value is 1. Now after count value is 1, now the flow will go here. The control will go here. 1 is less than 2. Is it true or false? 1 less than 2. Is it true or false? If it is true, what happens? If it is false, what happens? Yeah, 1 less than 2 is true. Now, as the condition is true, what happens? The condition has become true. The control will go from here to inside your for loop. Okay, now this will be executed. This statement will be executed. Now, after executing this statement, can any one of you tell me where the control will go now? Yes. After executing the for loop, the control will go back to your increment or decrement. Now, what is the count value? Initially, it is 0. Now, the count value has been incremented to 1. So, the count value now becomes, what is the value of count now? 1. It is not 2. Count value now becomes 1 because initially it is 0. Now, the count has been incremented. The count value now becomes 1. Count plus plus is nothing but count equal to count plus 1, right? So now the count value. So I'll parallelly write here what is actually happening. Okay. Initially the count value has been given to 0. Now it has been converted to 1. Isn't it or not? The count value has been converted to 1 now. Now after doing this thing, okay, after executing this one, this statement, can you tell me where the control will go? After executing count plus plus, what is the next statement will be executed? Very good. The control will go back to the condition again. Now it will check our value of count is 1. 1 less than 2, is it true? Yes, it is true. So the condition is true. So the control will again go back into your printf statement. You will get one more time output as hello world. And after executing this one, again the control will go back to the count plus plus. Now what will be the count value? Now the count value will be equal to 2. Isn't it or not? Because earlier it is 1. Now the count has to be incremented one more time. So the count 1 plus plus is 2. So the count is 2. After doing that task, what happens? Again, it will go back to this condition. Now 2 less than 2. Is it true or false? It is false. 2 is not less than 2. It is equal to 2. So as the condition becomes false, the control will come out of this for loop. And whatever statement you have next, that will be executed. So this example, whatever we have learned, it will produce an output of hello world twice. Same example what we learned for the while. Got it all of you? So this is how for loop will be executed. Understood all of you? Okay. Now what we'll do is this clear to all of you? Now, can we draw the flow chart for this one? Can any one of you tell me what will be the first symbol we need to include for our flow chart? Let us draw our flow chart now. I'll give you 2 minutes time. All of you try how to draw the flow chart for this for loop. Yes, first one is rhombus. Yeah, rhombus will be used for condition. But before that, we have initialization, right? For initialization is nothing but we want to execute this statement. So to write count equal to 0, which symbol should be used? Can you tell me which symbol is used? If you see here, count equal to 0 is the first statement. So to do this one, what is the symbol we need to use? Parallelogram will be used for taking the input and displaying the output, like scanf statement and printf statement. If it is there, we need to use parallelogram. Very good. We need to use rectangle symbol, right? So let me put the rectangle symbol first. So we need to have a rectangle symbol. So within the rectangle symbol, we need to write initialization. So whatever initialization you are doing, that should be there in this rectangle. Right? Now, after initialization, that means you have done this part. After initialization, what is the next thing you need to do? What is the next thing? Condition. So to check the condition, that means your flow will be like this. So your flow will be like this now. Now after this is not looking good. Yes. Now after this, we have condition, right? To write the condition, what is the symbol we need to use? Can any one of you tell me? We have done initialization here. Rhombus, not triangle. There is no triangle shape. Yeah, rhombus, right. Very good. So where is this rhombus? We need to have rhombus here. So within the rhombus, you need to write down your condition. I think I'm not good in drawing this one with the paint, but I think you guys are understanding what I am drawing. Okay, so this is rhombus where you need to write down the condition, right? Now, after condition, what is the statement we have? We need to check whether it is true or false, isn't it or not? We need to check whether it is true or false. So we have two options. One option is for true, and the another option is for false. Okay. So let us consider this one as true. Okay, and this one as false. Now you tell me if it is true, what happens? If it is false, what happens? You need to tell me. If the condition is true, where the control will go back. If the condition is true, what happens? If the condition is true, what happens? It will execute whatever statements we have. According to our example, it is hello world. No. If the condition is true, I told you, no, if this condition is true, for observe this one, if this condition is true, it will go inside the statements. It will not jump here. It will go like this. So if the condition is true, we need to have one more block where the statements will be executed, right? So we need to have one more block where the statements will be executed. Let me put one more block here where all the statements, whatever we have, that need to be written. So whenever it is true, it will go here like this. right? Now, once the statements are executed, can you tell me what happens now? Very good. It will check either increment or decrement. That means we need to have one more rectangle here. One more rectangle here saying like what are all the increment and decrement operations we need to have. Okay. Very good. After increment and decrement, what happens? Okay, let me draw these diagrams once again. Okay, I'll draw this. This space is not sufficient. I'll draw once again. This is our first one, count value, and then we need to have rhombus, and then we need to have a rhombus. Okay. Now, after in condition, I told you we have two options: true or false, right? So if it is true or if it is false, this is the path we are considering. Now, if it is true, I told you like we need to execute the statement. So we need to have a rectangle symbol again. So let me draw this rectangle once again. Okay. Now, once there is a rectangle. After that, why is it not coming down? We need to have one more rectangle here. So where we need to write the statements and conditioning. So after executing this one, our flow will go back to your condition checking, right? So it will go back to the, got it all of you? So this is the flow. But whenever it is false, what happens? It will come like this. Understood? Understood all of you? Is this flow chart clear to all of you? Now, if you observe, the flow chart is very similar to your what is that one while loop, whatever we have drawn. The same flow chart can be considered here. But in your what is that one symbols for flow chart for loop, we have a special symbol. I'll show you that symbol. I'll show you that symbol, all of you. What is that symbol? Is that symbol will be looking like this? Let me draw that flow chart symbol. What is this symbol called? What is the name of this symbol? What is the name of this symbol? I don't know what actually this is called as, but whenever we want to draw any flow chart, and in that flow chart, if you have a for loop, then this for loop, this is the symbol that can be used to represent the for loop instead of drawing the flow chart, whatever we have written here. Directly, we can write the condition. We can write the initialization, condition, and increment and decrement. And after this, we can have two options like true and false options, and directly we can have our statements here. So like that also you can draw your flowchart using your for loop. Understood all of you? Now what we'll do now is let us execute our program what we have learned now that we can see with a example. I'll be opening the online compiler. Let me open. So this is the online compiler. So whatever we have learned, just let us do that. So initially we need to just use for loop for we are taking a variable called count. But whenever you are using any variable, we need to declare that variable. So let us call int count semicolon. I am not initializing here. I am initializing here. Now after that count is less than 2 or not, I am checking, and then count plus plus. right? There is no semicolon here. Only for do while we need to have a semicolon, right? Now after that I have written the printf statement, and simply after writing the printf statement, I am closing my this one. And these things, let us not bother about these things because you only know void main. Understood all of you? So we have taken a variable called count, and count has been declared here. It is of integer data type. Remember, whatever variable you are using in your program, all the variables should be declared initially only. That is one drawback of our C programming language. But even if you are using a new variable in your 100,000 line, let us consider, then you need to go back to the starting of your program and you need to declare that variable at the starting of your program only. Because in between declaring any variable, you will get an error. All the variables should be declared at the starting of your program only. Right now, count has been declared, and count. This is your initialization. This is your condition. This is your condition, and this is your increment and decrement. And once the condition is true, this statement will be executed. After executing this one, it will come back here. Let us run whether you are getting the correct output or not. Let us check. So has displayed the hello world twice according to our code. Got it, all of you? This is how a for loop will be executed. So with this, we have learned all the three types of iterative statements, that is while, do while, and for. If you have any doubts, you can ask me. And remember, what is the assignment I have given using while, the same three experiments, three programs. One is natural numbers, to find the sum of all natural numbers, and second one is sum of even and odd numbers, and third one is Fibonacci series. All these three you need to do using while and do while. Already we have discussed that one. And the same task has to be done using your for loop. And later on we'll switch to a new little bit complicated programs. But now if these three programs are clear to all of you, then we will be learning about what is nothing but towers of Hanai, and what is nothing but how to display the prime numbers. These are basic programs only, but you need to know the logic behind that. Understood all of you? Is this clear to all of you?